morning sunshine, rocking the good time with all our friends. Easy and carefree, out in the summer breeze, loving a simple things for hours on end. Right about sundown, we lay on the ground, count on the stars as they come out one at a time. Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey everybody, I'm X Factor winner Tate Stevens, and welcome to the Sweet Life Podcast, where we talk about everything from music, sports, food, entertainment, and, well, just living the sweet life. Hey everybody, it's me, Tate Stevens, and as always, AJ Kronk.
Yeah, man.
We got a great show for you today. This podcast is, I've been looking forward to this pretty much since the idea. I was like, you know what, I need to have one of these guys on, and I couldn't think of anybody better to have than my buddy Shilo Harris. So here in just a second, I'm going to introduce you to retired Staff Sergeant Shilo Harris, so y'all stick around. Staff Sergeant, retired Staff Sergeant Shilo Harris is on with us today. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. You know, Tate, I feel like this was the perfect timing. I know that we had tried to touch base in December, but man, what a better way to kick off the new year than be on Tate Stevens' show. And then obviously AJ, which I just met. Yeah. Sorry, AJ, but AJ and Tate's show, man. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you making the time for us this evening. And you know what? This is easy. I've had a lot of my friends on and from the music industry and things like that, and I try to make it as easy as I can. You know, it's pretty much just going to talk about you for a little bit and what's going on, what happened, and what's coming up, what the future holds, you know, and short-term, long-term stuff. Things like that. It's going to be easy, but I'm excited to get going. So if you haven't heard of Shilo Harris, just make sure, Google him, Google me, right? And you can kind of find out a lot of stuff. Right off the bat, you come from a military family, as I did, and your dad was in Vietnam, right?
Yes, sir.
We were about
Vietnam. My grandfather, World War II. And he also served in Korea as well.
Yeah, so comes from a long line of military. And now, did you know you wanted to be a military guy, or was that something that you were kind of like, it could happen, or if it doesn't, it's okay, or were you just hell, I'm gonna do it?
You know, that's one of those conversations that's sometimes hard for people to have because you know, when I was younger, yeah, you know, my dad and my grandfather, of course, had a heavy influence on my decisions. And I wanted to join the military, but I was a bit of a hoodlum. And anyway, I got in trouble. You know, none of it was real serious stuff, but it was enough to keep me out of the military at a younger age. But when 9/11 happened, you know, I was 27 years old, and I was thinking, dude, they're bound to take me, you know, because the desire was there. Okay. I always wanted to join. And then when 9/11 happened, of course, I was thinking, you know, this could be a win-win opportunity because I want to join the military. This might be an opportunity that they would actually take me because we're going to war.
Right.
And, you know, it just worked out for me. So, yeah, 27 years old, and I finally got to join.
So it was 9/11. And I hear you, JP, there's so many guys that I've gotten to meet. And this is through helping a hero. This is how I met Shilo. Five years ago, I meet Shilo Harris. Here's the thing, and I tell everybody that when AJ got to go to Florida, you guys were in Brazil or somewhere, you guys were in Belize or whatever jungle you guys were in over over the holidays. So I took AJ and we went to West Palm down to Mar-a-Lago and did an acoustic show for helping a hero and things like that. But that's how I met you the first time. It's going on 5 years, almost 6 years now. And when as somebody who truly honors the military as I do, and I respect the guys who serve, the men and women who serve, I was not one of those people. I could do it if they're like, you have to do it. You know what I mean? This is what you have to do. You got to serve. I could do that, but just as an option for me, not the best option for me, right? Yeah. And it's nothing. It's kind of weird. It's just like I think I think it's the structure of the military. It's hard for me. Structure's hard. I'm so disorganized and kind of dysfunctional in my own little world. So the structure of military would probably do me great good, but I couldn't handle it especially when I was younger. But anyway, so I meet you veterans, and we're going to talk about a word that people call you as a hero. And I'm not going to use that term loosely or lightly, because it is true. What you guys do, you do give up life and limb and things like that for us non just civilians, right? So we can go on about our day and not have to worry. So, but when I met you, of course, now when we'll get into the story, you were badly burned by IED, right? And the car blew up, and you were on fire for several minutes, and it was bad. So when I met you, obviously I was taken back, and I'm like, oh my God, how did he survive this? And how is his demeanor so good? Talking to you, you were so bright and just, man, it was awesome. You made it easy. You made it very easy. JP with his 2 fake legs. He calls them his magic legs. It made it easy for me, right? And I know, I understand that's part of the process and the healing, right? And I get it. And we'll get into all this too, but you made it easy, and it was awesome because we had so much in common. We both like to hunt and fish and stuff like that. You're a Texas guy. So the boots and jeans and hat, it's who you are too. So it's like, it just, that connection was cool, and it was immediate. And I thought, man, this guy is awesome. There's something about him. I'm drawn to him just to talk to him. And it was awesome. And your wife, your lovely wife, I remember, and I don't know if you'll remember, we did that morning show. You and I had to go do we were in San Antonio
Fox in Houston, Fox 12 in Houston.
Yeah. And we did that.
I have a channel, right? But yeah, that's the idea. One of the Fox stations there in Houston.
Yep. And so, and it was for a Helping a Hero event. But anyway, so beyond that, so that's how you and I, that's the first time we met, like 5-6 years ago. So it was awesome.
Was that 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah.
I thought, okay, so I'm just going to tell you, I thought that you and I had met around the same time that you did X Factor. I did the Extreme Makeover. Remember, through Helping a Hero? Or I guess maybe we did meet after that, but it seems like we had some kind of connection back then.
Well, and maybe we did. And here's the thing. When that was 2012 Home Extreme or Extreme Home Makeover did your house, right?
Yeah.
And that's the year I won the X Factor, was 2012. Man, I'll be honest, that part of my life, that year and a half of my life, I don't really remember much.
I know what you're saying. I feel the same way.
It was upside. My life was upside down. It truly was upside down. I didn't know if I was coming or going. It was weird. It was a weird time for me. So we might have met then. I would have. I would have remembered that 100 times. So I believe that the Helping a Hero event was the first time that I had actually got to meet you. We might have been at an event together, something together at an event where you were at and I was at, but I don't know that I met you. And I'm going to be honest, I would have remembered.
Maybe it's a connection that maybe I thought I made.
Yeah. So anyway,
as you said that year, you didn't know if you were coming or going. That was me at times for like 2 years, right?
Right.
I mean, it was just like a blur, so you're just trying to keep up because things are moving so fast.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yeah.
Absolutely. So 27 years old. Do you have a family at this point when you joined?
Yeah, I had a wife, a couple of kids, and actually I had one on the way too. And so, yeah, it was one of those weird times, 9/11 happened, and I remember walking into the office with my boss, and I couldn't get a GPS that day because I was doing land surveying. And when I got out on this big ranch, it was my first day running the crew. I mean, there's some dynamics here, right? And so this is before all the smartphones and all that stuff. So I didn't really know what was going on in the world. I just knew we were out in the country. It took us an hour to get there, and now I can't do my job. And now I got to go back and tell my boss that I can't do my job. And I didn't know why. I thought it was my fault. So I drove all the way back into town, walked into the office, and I'm like, man, I got some bad news. And then I just happened to look over at the TV because he had the TV going over there by the workstation. And I saw the second plane coming in. And he said, "Oh, my God, there's another one." And I was like, "Another one what?" I was like, "What the heck's going on, you know?" And he said, "Shilo." I mean, he just looked me square in the eye. I'll never forget the look in his eye. He just looked at me and he said, "We're under attack. Our country's under attack." And I was thinking, "Oh my God, what just happened?" I still had no idea what the hell was going on.
Right.
And then he finally, and I'm watching the TV, and then it's like, talking about these attacks and Twin Towers. And anyway, I'm like, "Oh my God." So, like like a lot of people in the world, just like everything just stopped, right? You didn't know what to do. You did, again, not knowing if you were coming or going. What's going to happen next? Is it going to be in our town? Is this, like Red Dawn?
Right. Right.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
I was already thinking, man, I'm going to shave my head, grow a beard. I'm going to look like that crazy SOB running around out there in the dang woods with my rifle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there was so much shell shock in this country for a long period of time because we were invincible. We're the United States. No one messes with us, right? You do, you get.
It was a tough time for everybody. And, I wanted to join the military, obviously, because of the generational thing. But at the same time, man, like you said, it's like, dude, we're under attack. I was like, man, I want to do something. I want to make sure I'm doing my part, whatever that part needs to be. And I felt like the best way to do that was join the military. And the recruiter, he told me, he said, I can probably work with you. But I mean, he made me work for it, because I had like 3 or 4 MIPs, and it was like minor in possession, little things like when you get caught, being out there, once they know where you party, well, you're going to see the law there all the time. They got your number.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and he said, "Well, nothing real bad." And I was like, "Yeah," I said, "I'm actually a pretty good dude, I just had a couple of bad luck, got incidents."
Yeah.
And he did the work, the paperwork, but he said, "I can get all the stuff that you need in one phone call." He said, "But I'm not doing that." And he said, "If you really want to join, you're going to go do this and go do that." And I did too, man. I did every bit of it because I wanted to join. Man, he made me earn it. I had to do interviews.
Right.
Yeah, it was a big deal, man.
So now you join. Let's fast forward a little bit. You get in boot camp, basic training, all the stuff, and that was what 2000. No, when was that? There's 2001, right? And then
After that, so it was in March 2002.
Okay,
was my start date.
Okay, so you're in. You now. What battalion group? What were you in? Where were you at? What did you sign up for or get into?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I guess I probably could have said that when I was talking about the recruiter and stuff. But I decided that. Okay, well, another part of this is kind of funny, but my dad, I asked him, I was like, "What should I do?" He said, I figured he'd be all gung ho because he was infantry, airborne guy, and I figured he'd be like, "Dude, go out there and combat and blah blah blah, infantry, whatever, And the first thing he said was, "Maybe you should go talk to the Air Force first because it's more like a career." and I was like, "What?" It's almost like strange hearing him say something like that,
right?
And then he's like, "Yeah," he said, "Man, combat arms are making an old man out of you, blah blah blah." And I went to the Air Force recruiter, because one of my buddies was an Air Force colonel, and no, they wasn't having me at all. They're like, "You're 27 and you got things on your record?" No. I'm like, all right. I come walking out, and I figured I was going to go door to door until somebody took me.
Right.
Well, the Army recruiter was waiting on me. It was like he saw me coming, man. He's like, I come out of the Air Force door, and he's literally leaned up against the wall, like, "What's up, bro?" And I was like, all right, let's go do it.
Yeah.
And I signed up for 6 years. I joined the United States Cavalry, which is also combat arms. Man, it was a great decision. I loved it. I loved doing what I did. Loved being boots on the ground. And
right. Where was your first deployment after you get through basic and tech and all that? Where was your first deployment?
First deployment. So I went to Germany. I guess you kind of consider that a deployment, but it's more of a duty station.
Right.
But so my first duty station was in Schweinfurt, Germany. I was with Big Red 1, A lot of people know the Big Red One. That's the division, 1st Infantry Division.
Right.
And I was also a part of 1-4 Cav, which a lot of people call it a quarter Cav. It's kind of a famous, I don't know if they call it a regiment, but it's more of a squadron. Squadron and brigade and that sort of thing. It was a great group. Loved it. Loved being out there with those guys. And it taught me a lot, especially getting to see Germany. Then within those 3 years that I was stationed in Germany, I ended up going to Iraq. And that was my first deployment. Flew into Kuwait, and then we got staged there, and then we drove right up Highway 1 into Baghdad, and then kept going all the way to just right below Tikrit.
Okay.
And we had a big mountain range, and then Tikrit, and then it was actually not too far from where Saddam Hussein was captured in the hole. So that was where we were stationed. We were stationed up there, and we worked pretty much that whole area. It was a big area, but we ended up moving around a couple different places, and I got to see a lot of Iraq, a lot of history there.
Right.
And it was really amazing.
Now, so that was your first deployment over there, and then you went back for 2. You did 2 tours over there.
Yep. And that was kind of what I was getting at too. There, that first deployment, man, we got to see so much of Iraq, and we had some engagements. Seen a lot of stuff. Taught me a lot, and it did prepare me for that second deployment, which was with the 10th Mountain Division. And this unit was a 189 Cav, and it was actually stood up. It wasn't activated until we took over the name. My commander, he was a bit eccentric. I love that man. He's a great leader. And he wanted to be a little different than the other guys that we were deploying with. And we're so good, man. We did a lot of good. Unfortunately, though, on February of 2007, my vehicle, my Humvee, hit a roadside bomb that they estimated to be about 700 pounds of explosives buried in the road.
So now, for us civilians who don't understand how bombs work, that they're homemade devices, right? These dudes, but they're well built homemade devices that they try to get you with, and 700 pounds. I mean, that can do, obviously did a great deal of damage to your vehicle and everybody in it and everything around it. But like, put it in perspective of what, like a grenade, like a regular grenade, like a grenade that you could throw. What's the difference in a 700-pound IED and like a grenade? Something that, to reference a reference point of how bad that is. Or how big
that's really a great question. And you talked about JP earlier. This would probably be a better question for him because he was an engineer, I believe, or at least he was a bomb sweeper, and so he had to probably know a little bit
right.
about bombs. But all we know is we look for anything out of the ordinary. Which, because IED, think about that term in general, and you're talking from the civilian standpoint. Most people have heard the term IED, right? And they know that it means bomb or something that's going to explode, but it actually stands for here I am. I went blank on it. IED, improvised explosive device.
Right.
Improvised really means it can be anything. Like the larger bombs that we're talking about, the 700-pound bomb. That would probably be like 3 or 4 or 5 tank bombs buried together with some kind of a detonation cord attached to it or a trigger. And in our particular case, it had a trigger where somebody would either call like with a cell phone or pushed a button, kind of stereotypical, but at the same time, that was how big the bomb was. But something that a lot of people don't know is that, we adapted to the way that they would detonate bombs as much as we could. I mean, we had so much stuff hanging off the Humvees and jammers and this and that, all kinds of preventive medicine. But sometimes, the disease keeps figuring out how to stay strong, and it's like, as we adapted, they adapted. And it was just this vicious cycle.
Right.
Because we knew what we were looking for. I mean, just about any way you could imagine detonating a bomb, that's what they did. We had to figure it out,
Man, what was it? 19th, I think is what I read. February 19th.
February 19th. Hey, good memory, Tate.
2007.
So,
And
can you
would
believe it's been that long?
it's
I mean, you think about this, 9/11/2001. We just had the 20th memorial.
I know.
Like that's what 21 years now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, it feels like it was not that long ago. You know?
Yeah. And to that point, 2007. When you think about it, you're like, man, that's kind of a long time ago. 2000,
Yeah.
even when yeah. But to you probably live that a little bit more frequently than most. And it probably gets closer. That gap and that date get a little closer for you on certain things.
I still live it. I still talk about it. When I get up on stage, and it's not just with helping a hero. I'm a motivational speaker. I have to tell this story all the time.
You do, and that's what I'll get to. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. And I want you to list everything that you're a part of. I have a few things that I know that you're a part of, just from our conversations and stuff like that. And like I said,
I'm not making my plug. I'm just talking. I'm just having a great time visiting with you.
No, I know. I'll keep plugging for you, but I'm just saying, for our listeners, for the people who listen to our podcast, for them to understand certain things, I want to make sure they understand. Like when we say little things, if you say something, I might have you say, "Hey, man, what does that mean for us? For us laymen out here, us civilians, we might not know." But also, just the fact. So, 2007, your accident happens. Your Humvee is destroyed, and for the people who want to see the pictures, you go get his book. And the pictures are in there, and there's pictures of you before the accident and after the accident. And I don't know if I showed AJ. There's his Humvee. The top picture is before, and the bottom two pictures are what happened to his Humvee. That's what it looked like.
Good grief.
You might be able to see the hole there also. I don't think I answered that when you asked that question a moment ago. You said about how proportionate as far as the explosion and damage. I mean, dude, it shredded my Humvee.
Yeah.
I mean, the hole is as big as the Humvee and, probably 2, 3, 4 foot deep. I mean, hell, I don't even know, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, 700 pounds, what is that? That'd be like the three of us taped together.
Yeah. And
we still might not make 700 pounds.
Right.
I don't know what you got to believe, but I mean, that's a big bomb.
Yeah. And in that defense, not even defense, that's just the way the vehicle looks. Like I said, you guys can check this all out on, I'm sure there's stuff online, but go get the book Steel Wheel. It's amazing. I've read it. My son's read it. But anyway, you talk about it. There's, like I said, there's pictures in this book. So you can kind of visualize what we're talking about here. So car blows up, bam, boom. You're on fire. I know you told me at one point, you said you knew you were on fire, and you could feel you're like, I'm melting basically.
Yeah, I was still in the Humvee. After the explosion, they, of course, after everybody could come to the vehicle, they, of course, tended to who they knew needed the immediate help, which was, I was knocked unconscious. So that's why when you said that a moment ago, I was like, oh, no. And then I was like, oh, okay. Well, there's another part to that. But yeah, so I was knocked unconscious, and I don't really know that I was on fire or even involved in the fire yet until, a few minutes had passed. Well, they come over to grab my driver because he's awake and he's fussing. They're trying to take care of him because obviously he's alive. So it was the right thing to do. They left me in the Humvee. Well, while I was in the Humvee, there was a secondary explosion. We had the AT-4 or the handheld rocket in the Humvee in case we had to do a dismount operation or something. And anyway, it cooked off. And it caused like this fireball inside the Humvee, which burned me and injured me more. Well, they were, in their mind, they were thinking, well, if he wasn't dead before, which they thought I was dead, he's certainly dead now, right? Because of the secondary blast. And then all of a sudden I woke up and kicked myself out of the Humvee. Now, one of those moments while I was in the Humvee, though, is like, since I was the truck commander, first thing you do is call up a radio report. So, I was trying to keep the mic. I wasn't hearing anything, so I had to throw the hand mic down. And I just looked to see what was going on around me, but I don't even really remember what I was seeing because it was like I was looking through straws. So this is one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I know I took a hit, but I know I got to get out of this Humvee too, because I could feel the flames around me. And I knew I needed to get out of the Humvee, although I didn't know how hurt I was. I remember my right arm, I was pushing on my door, the only door left on the vehicle. The other 3 doors were blown off. The entire top of the truck was blown off. And anyway, I remember pushing on the door and my arm felt funny. I looked down and my uniform was melted into my skin. And I was thinking, man, it's got to hurt. But it wasn't hurt.
That's got to hurt. Oh, my God.
Well, because it's like I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, why doesn't that hurt? It just felt weird.
Yeah.
And so, as I'm pushing out, I finally get the door open and I get out of the Humvee and I'm just taking in everything, the smell. I was probably smelling myself. I didn't know. I know that's probably pretty gross to think about, but dude, I was like, I didn't know what was going on. I'm still trying to put things together. Everything's like jumbled in my head. Well, all of a sudden I see everybody over there messing with my driver. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? I start barking orders. I'm like, who's calling up a 9 line? Who's doing this? Somebody pull security over there. Da, da, da. Well, everybody just looks and staring at me. And I'm guessing nowadays it's probably because they didn't know who I was. I probably look like a hot mess, right? Oh, come on, that was good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There it is. See, so just hold on just a second. So AJ, when you meet these guys, these wounded these guys that we do these things for, that's how they are. That's how they make it comfortable.
Sure.
For everybody. Yeah. And it makes it easy. And so it's always like that. They're always good like that too. Yeah. And it just, yeah. Okay. All right. Go on. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good, man. And you're right, Tate. We do try to make people comfortable because it's not easy. Honestly, we can see, and I know that it's not always malicious and people don't mean anything by it, but I see how some people look at me sometimes, like kind of that shock and awe, like, where's that dude's ears? I'm like, he's missing fingers. And, I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we meet people like that. The thing that bothers me though is if they continue to do it. Like kind of like it. And my daughter. Oh my gosh, my daughter. She's lived all of this, right? She was 5 years old when I got blown up. And I have 7 kids, by the way, in case y'all didn't know. I think you and I talked about that, Tate.
Yep.
You have kids too, right, Tate?
Yeah, I have 2. Yep, 2.
Right, I have 2 kids?
Yep.
What about you? Tell me your name.
AJ.
AJ. I started to say it, but I was thinking I'm going to screw it up because we were talking about JP. I was like, I got my initials mixed up.
Yeah, I have a daughter. Yeah. So I have one.
You have a son?
What's that?
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a daughter. I have a boy and a girl. But yep.
Well, yeah. So 7 kids, and my daughter, she lived it, every bit of it. But yeah, I remember, there's been times that she would go to my defense because we'd be out in public, and people would have a hard time sometimes eating. They'd be looking at me and wouldn't even be able to put food in their mouth because they're busy staring. And I remember one night, she got so mad. I think she was like a 10 or 11. And she finally jumped up and kind of looked over at that table, like cut her eyes at him and said, he got injured in Iraq, right? Show a little respect. And it was just like,
oh no.
Dang, I didn't expect that out of my little princess. But, she was like, I'm sorry, Daddy. She said, I just couldn't handle that anymore.
Good for her. Good for her. Good for her, though. That's perfect.
She's tough, man. She made me feel real good. Something else I wanted to recognize, Tate, as you said earlier, about my lovely wife, Jamie. Thank you for that.
Yep.
She's a sweetheart. I love her so much. She's been a true blessing in my life. I can't say enough good things. She's been doing counseling and just continue to do great things. Yeah. So thank you for that plug, brother. She's a good girl. Good girl.
Yeah.
She loves you.
So blown up. We're on fire. Now people, now they understand, oh my God, that's our guy. That's Shilo.
Yep. Oh yeah, thank you for bringing me back, man. I got a little sidetracked there.
No, look, it's squirrels here, bud. That's all it is.
Well, we said hot mess, and everybody laughed, and
No, it's all good. So now they realize, okay, oh my, he's alive, but oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, they come grab me, got me away from the vehicle, and right before that, this is what I was talking about. My body armor was on fire, and the material was melting and running down my leg. And so I remember I could feel my leg burning. And I remember looking over and my body armor was on fire. So yeah, I was on fire. That was when I realized I was on fire. And I took my body armor off. So I was standing there beside my Humvee in the middle of the war zone, and body armor, Kevlar's gone. And anyway, there was bullets flying all around me, and I didn't know it. All the bullets that were inside my truck were cooking off.
Oh.
They were trying to get me away from my Humvee. And anyway, I couldn't hear them because of the blast.
Right.
One of my buddies come out there and he grabbed me, and when our bodies connected, my ears popped. And as soon as my ears popped, I heard it. It was like this pop and a zing, pop and a zing. Dude, bullets flying all around me, and I didn't have my body armor on. So my buddy had to come out there and grab me, man. He's trying to get me away, get me to safety.
Man, you don't. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you think about it. When they get hot, they're going to explode. Yeah. There's gunpowder in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a truck full of it.
you guys are shooting. You're shooting at your own self at this point. Yeah. You're shooting at your own self at this point. You got things. Oh my goodness, man. So
kind of like you say, you're dodging bullets. I mean, I survived one blast, or survived the second blast, and then the bullets. I mean, can't tell me God's not in the middle of that somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So they take you. Obviously, they get you out of there. Where do you go? Do you go to Germany? You go back to Germany to the hospital, or do you stay there?
No, they stage you in Iraq, of course, but ideally they get you out of there as quick as possible. You're on a flight into Germany, yes, because that's one of the closest for Europe to get over there, and it's a kind of a funnel. I mean, pretty much everybody comes into dang it, what is that one? Bethesda? No, not Bethesda.
It's not
Landstuhl.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to lose my mind there for a minute. I can't even remember the name of the hospital. It's Landstuhl, Germany. And anyway, everybody comes through there, and then they distribute them out to whatever hospital closest to their prospective base. And I ended up at Brooke Army Medical Center.
Okay. Now, did you know how bad you were hurt? Before you get to the hospital? Or was this a ongoing thing? Like, oh my God, every time I wake up, this is going on, or every time I wake up, this is going on, or whatever. Or were you just out? I know they had to medically induce you into a coma it was over a month, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. That's a good point. I guess I should have said that. Is that when I was in Germany, when I said they got me staged, they get me prepped, the last thing I remember is I was going into the operating room. My driver was with me. We didn't know what had happened to our other soldiers, our friends. And I kept asking, because I was the truck commander, I kept asking, where's everybody at? Where's my guys? Where's my soldiers? Where's my guys? Where's my soldiers? And nobody would tell me. I don't know if it's because they didn't know, or maybe they just didn't want to tell me because I was all messed up or what, but, trying to keep my mind off of it. But the last thing I remember is I'm in the OR and I feel I'm like pulling on my clothes and like cut my clothes off and stuff. And it's like really vulnerable. I mean, it's so, I don't even know how to describe it, man. I felt so weak. It's probably like my weakest moment at that time because, they're like cutting my clothes off and I can't even feel like I'm able to move,
Right.
And I don't know where my guys are. I'm kind of lost in this moment. And of course, I'm wondering what the hell is going to happen next. I didn't know how bad injured I was.
Right.
I knew I was hurt. At this point, I'm starting to really feel things. I'm starting to feel the pain, and it's extremely uncomfortable. And there's this doctor standing up here at the head of my bed, or the head of the rolling cart thing. And anyway, he looks me square in the eye, which is probably the first person to look me right in the eye. And he says, you'll find out in a couple of months where your friends are. So that's the last thing I remember.
Wow.
And that moment I was incubated, and it was like this really dark alternate reality that I was living in. And I guess a lot of people talk about it like a dope dream, but it's almost like reality. There's things happening in my dream that's actually happening in reality.
Oh, wow.
But it's like my imagination is making it dark and kind of twisted. It's like I could hear people's voices, my family. I could tell when they were near me, but I couldn't communicate. I couldn't touch them. I couldn't talk to them. It's all so dark, man. Ooh. And I say this a lot. It's probably as close to hell as I ever want to be, bro. It was so bad.
Oh my God. So in reality, your family were there talking to you or visiting or whatever, and you could hear them. Now, how did you know that? How did you know that was, I mean, did they tell you, hey, this is gonna, or just, is that talking to other people who've been in your situation?
Well, this is me now, I'll put it together, of course. And yes, I have met other people that's been in comas, and they say the exact same thing. They say it's like you're living a life, but your imagination is creating kind of like the brick and mortar thing, there's buildings, you're seeing vehicles, you're seeing stuff, but it's all dark and creepy looking, kind of like what's that, Strange World? Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, yeah. Netflix. Yeah.
Oh, it's like that. It's like this reverse world. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it, is hell. I mean, it's just so bad.
Wow.
I never want to be there again, ever.
Well, yeah.
48 days.
48 days.
And that's the official. But it's, after you're being that medicated, they don't just like flip a switch.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. 48 days. He's on. He's good. He's back. Yeah. So
the first 2 years was kind of a blur. The first 3 years, I have a hard time building a timeline.
Right. And I mean, how many surgeries have you had?
To date, since I got injured, I've had about 80 surgeries.
80.
I got heart. Just so you know, I mean, 80, that's a drop in the bucket to some guys. Some guys have over 100. I mean, I know, I don't want to say anybody's name. I don't want to divulge any personal information.
Right.
But the simple as burn guys, they're talking about like having over 120, 130 surgeries. I'm like, damn.
Oh my God.
I don't know. But what I did is I would go into multiple departments and do it like a drive-through. I'm like, okay, you guys are going to be working down low. You guys are going to be working up high. And then you guys are going to be working over here on the right. Let's all get it done at once. So that way it's one and done, one recovery, and then we'll go from there. And it worked out. So I don't know. I don't think that the numbers add up like, 3 times 1. It's more like, one surgery. But I had 3 different things done.
Okay, right.
That's how I did. So that way,
Still.
I didn't want to go on to the top more than I had to.
No. I mean, I don't even, I had a colonoscopy a couple weeks ago and I was dreading it. Right. And, you know what I mean? I'm like,
I didn't even want that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really looks forward to that.
No, but I mean, I understand. So I'm like, something as easy as a colonoscopy. I mean, and now you have all these surgeries and all this time, this recovery, therapy, physical therapy, because you're missing digits, and now on your hands, I know you said, if I remember right, you were like, a couple of your fingers were just gone. They just burnt off. And then you had some had to be removed, because they couldn't get them to come back or work or whatever because of the damage that had already been done. So it was easier to take them, or better for you in the long run to take them. Right. I mean,
it's along those lines. Honestly, I don't know how that all worked, because I was incubated. I didn't really have a choice,
Right.
But I do this a lot too, though. When I go to the golf course and they ask me what my handicap is, I'll just hold my hands up and I'm like, man, what are y'all picking on me? And then sometimes I'll be around UT fans and I'm like, when I was going through my recovery, they asked me if I wanted to keep these pinkies. But I told them, I was like, I don't really need them. All I need is my giggles. Like, you see, I'm like, what?
Oh, that's funny. So
I've had some fun with my fingers and stuff. And, I've come to terms with it. I will tell you, man, I do feel extremely blessed. And I think that's why, earlier you said something about, how when you met me, it was kind of like a light. And, and I get that a lot. And I think it's just because, how some people let their injuries or they're disfigurement or bad hair. Some people let their bad hair ruin their whole day.
Right.
Ruin their whole life.
Right.
And I've never seen it that way, man. I'm still me. I'm still Shilo.
Yep.
And I'm not going to hide in the closet just because I look different now. In fact, I think I do pretty good. I got a beautiful wife, and she's really smart. And I've been really lucky to have good people in my life. And, God gave me a voice, and I'm happy to use it.
So 2012 was the extreme home makeover thing.
How did 2011? They 2011, and they were wanting to do like the Christmas special. So we had to literally keep it quiet for a year. It was kind of wild because we're in the house. Every now and then I'd wake up and somebody'd be on my front yard taking pictures. I remember I went out the back door and I was still in my pajamas. And I didn't necessarily look nude or anything, but I had like this little half man robe on and some shorts, and I walk out on the back porch and I got my coffee and I'm like, dude, somebody's on my yard, like in my backyard, taking pictures. And they just wave at me like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Like, I'm like, dude, this is not a park. I'm like, thank you. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm very thankful for my house. But, bro, you are literally in my backyard at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm drinking coffee.
Should have knocked on the front door. I already got you a cup of coffee. We could have talked about it before you just show up in my yard. Absolutely.
No doubt, man.
So how did that come about? How did the extreme home makeover thing come about? Now, is this where you meet Meredith? Is this how your ties with the Helping a Hero and Meredith, that whole thing comes along, or was this a little after that?
No, that's a great question. Helping Hero is so near and dear to my heart because I didn't feel like I deserved a house. I'm a burn guy. I'm not an amputee. I have lung issues. I have I have things that go on, and I have some mobility issues sometimes.
Right.
But for the most part, man, I'm really able-bodied.
Right.
I work hard. I work out. Meredith called me and said, one of your friends nominated you for a house. We want to build you a house. And I'm like, well, that's great, but I have a house. And I was like, let me give you some names of people that need houses. Because I worked with amputees and stuff all the time. Right. And anyway, she's like, yeah, that's great. Send me the names, but we're still going to build you a house. And I'm like, oh, okay. But, one thing turned into another, and it turned into the makeover house. And, I still feel very humble at heart about that because, man, that's a big generosity, Chase. That's a huge generosity. But these houses, as much as it hurt me, as far as, my pride and that sort of thing, it was such a tremendous blessing. The smile on my daughter's face, the smile and love that I've seen in my children's faces. It made it worth it. It made it all worth it. And to have that peace and security of not having to bust my butt, to keep my house cool or have to go sit in my truck because my house wasn't cool enough. I ended up with lung infections about every 3 months. Yeah. And that AC system literally changed the quality of my life.
So, but at certain points, you have given part of your life. You've given part of yourself to this country. So it's okay that we build you a house. It's okay. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you. That's
one of the reasons that I've stayed on is because I had to come to terms with it. And it's like I said, once I've seen the benefits, once I've seen the asset side of it and how much of the assets were quality of life and so life-changing for me and the kids, it just, right. It made a big difference, and I had to come to terms with that. So now that's something that Helping Hero has me do. Is I'll come in and I'll consult the veterans, on some of these issues. Like, okay, so I know this is a big deal, and they're like, yeah, this is huge. I don't know, da 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 da. Yeah. And I'm like, but I can promise you, it's going to be worth it. And so I go ahead and start easing them into it because not everybody got that luxury. It's like one minute I got a call that I'm getting a house, and then the next minute it's like, hey, by the way, it's going to be the ABC's makeover house. You're going to be famous, And I'm like, oh.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do famous. I don't know if I can do that. Well, so after the show, like you said, you got people just showing up to the house, taking pictures, doing all this stuff, and it is a little weird. I mean, that's odd for just a normal person. To be like, oh, like you said, you're out there on your back porch drink. You're like, morning, was there any adverse things that came out of that? I mean, obviously all the good and that comes out of, like I said, now you don't have the lung problems. You don't have your issues with your breathing. And you can stay cooler. And because you don't sweat very much, you don't have a lot of sweat glands from all the scar tissue, right? Is that why your body can't regulate temperature like it did or like it should? Is that why you?
I don't know who coined the term, but I heard of another burn survivor that had been through it a little bit longer than I had. He said he used the term real feel, meaning what we feel is usually about 10 to 15 degree difference. That's how it feels to us. It may be 73 degrees, in the room, but for a burn survivor, it feels about 83. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. All right.
It's hot outside. It's for us. It's like really hot. And you're right. I can do it in spurts. And it's like I said, I'm pretty fit. I push my limits. Sometimes I make mistakes and I push myself too far and I get sick. I get heat exhaustion pretty easy. And of course, after all of this, I probably shouldn't be pushing it the way I do, but it's like you just said, as they talking about beliefs earlier, my wife and I, oh my gosh, I wanted to be at Mar-a-Lago so bad. And Meredith, she had called me, but my wife and I, we just started doing bucket list trips.
Right.
We're at that age, we're both close to 50. And we both worked our butts off our whole life, and we've done okay,
Right.
I was going to say pretty good, but we've done okay, but we've worked for a lot of it. I'm so grateful for the things that we didn't have to work so hard for. But, we're getting to that point now, where we know our clock's ticking. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we want to enjoy some of those adventures before life runs out on us. And Belize was one of them. And so I was like, Belize, Mar-a-Lago, we'd been planning this trip for over a year. And I was like, I got to do the Belize thing. We'd already had everything booked. And it was amazing. But it was heartbreaking that I missed the event because I know it was so beautiful. And of course, I got to hang out with you again.
Yeah.
That made it worthwhile.
Yeah, I was the coolest. I was the coolest guy there, just so you know. I don't, no. I get after the home makeover thing, the fame. You were on a ton of shows. You were on a ton of talk shows. You were you had like a media blitz with this whole thing, and it's like I said, it's unnerving. I know it was for me. It's up. You're upside down. You don't know if you're coming or going. They're like, hey, we need you here. We need you here. You're going to be on a plane here. And you got people telling you what to do. And you're like, wait a minute, time out. I have to poop. Okay. And there's no time for that in here in this schedule. I gotta do some things, and so you have zero time for yourself at certain points. At least I did. But so you do this big nationwide media frenzy with the house and everything that's going on. You start getting and not you weren't recognized before anyway. Now you probably can't go too many places where people go, hey, that's that guy. That's him. I saw him. He was, hey, you're the guy, you're the burn guy that was, you got blown up in a car, and everywhere you go. How does that affect, or is it kind of, now you're kind of numb to it? Probably now you're like, how you doing? Nice to meet you. You know what I mean? You probably, at least there's got to be a little bit of that too. going on where you're just like, okay, I've dealt with it. I'm okay with that certain thing. Yeah. Is that how you are right now with it?
I'm going to tell you, Tate, 100% truth right now is that each person that I meet, if they recognize me for, something that I did good, a TV show or an interview or being on the Tate Stevens show, whatever the case is, wherever they recognize me from, I'm grateful.
Right.
Because, I do this because I want to. I do this because I love it. I love being out there and helping people, do the presentation. I didn't even know if I wanted to write a book, And I just became a yes guy. When I was going through my recovery, I didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know if I didn't think I could be a soldier again in the same aspect. But this is me serving right now. I'm serving my community. And when I volunteer with Helping a Hero or if I volunteer with any of these other veterans organizations, it's because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do it because it's rewarding in so many ways. I don't always get paid for it. Some people think I do, and that's fine. But, I'm a soldier first and foremost, man. And my goal is to serve. Now, it's like I said, I did well. I got the book, working on a movie right now. I mean, I've done things and I'm going to keep doing things.
Sure.
Because that's why. And I'm grateful to, like I said, like you said, each person that comes up and shakes my hand, I don't even know if numb's kind of the word. I guess you could say, it doesn't shock me as much, or it's not as fascinating as it was. Yet at the same time, anytime somebody comes up and shakes my hand, I'm grateful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. What I mean by that is now you're more not used to it, but it's not as like, oh, hey, oh yeah, okay, how you doing? You're like, oh, hey, how are you? Yeah.
Oh, I knew it was good. I was just saying, to me though, it's just like I love people so much. You know what I mean? I love being able to meet people and I don't know, man. I guess this is my second chance at life, and I don't want to waste it. And I feel like I should just be grateful in every moment.
You have to tell the story about when you were trying to get a new cowboy hat, and you're trying.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You got to tell this. Oh my God! This makes when you told this up in Omaha. Oh, I was like that's the best. This is hilarious. I mean,
just so you know, this is a true story. So Tate, he's excited about this. It's my opener. So this is what I use as my opener. Now I'll tell you why after I say it. After I tell the story, you might have to remind me. But anyway, so I grew up out in West Texas, around Odessa, Midland. We talk about the country boy thing. Tate and I, he's right. It's like as soon as we saw each other and we started visiting, it was me and him both were like, bro, we clicked. I like this, And then, anyway, so I was telling him that I grew up out in West Texas, but I think at this point, all I had was I had went and I bought some cowboy boots, had my belt buckle, but I didn't have a cowboy hat yet because, imagine my head, it's had some challenges. And this was kind of early on in my recovery, but I got ears. I had prosthetic ears. And anyway, I have these little metal titanium studs, and my ears just click right onto my head. They're like magnets, right? And so anyway, I go into the Western wear store, and I have my ears, and I'm not even thinking about it. I tell the little girl I want to get a cowboy hat, but I don't even know what size my head is nowadays. Well, she goes, and I told her, I said, let's just start small and work our way up, right? Well, she brought over a couple of hats. The first hat was like a child's hat. It had the elastic band in it, and it just barely sat on the crown of my head. Obviously, that one's not it, right? So I was pulling that one off. And she had this other hat in her hand, and she set it up there and popped it down on my head. When she did, both my ears popped off. My ears popped off and hit the floor. And they're kind of rubbery, right? And they're bouncing on the floor, and I'm freaking out, because this has never happened to me before. This is probably my first time ever even wearing my ears. And anyway, I'm scrambling. I pick up my ears. I'm putting myself back together, and again, I probably look like a hot mess, right? So anyway, I scared that little girl because my ears just popped off right in the middle of the store. And this little girl, I look over at her, and she's just like, got this like god awful look on her face, like scared to death. And I felt horrible. I didn't even know what to say. Like I said, this had never happened. The only thing I could think of was, but that happens a lot to you, huh? That girl, she was not having it, man. I finished up in the store. And I told her, I said, maybe I don't need to get the hat today. Maybe I should resize my ears or something, Well, I get on my event and I'm telling my friends about it. And we were speaking at a church that night there in Lubbock, Texas. One of my really good friends, Russ Murphy and Danny Koch, they were picking me up. And Russ is a Baptist preacher, or had been, in ministry off and on. And then my friend Russ, my friend Danny, he's a Vietnam veteran. And anyway, I figured Danny would be the one poking fun at me because that's what we do as veterans, like kind of poke fun at each other. Well, Danny's the one patting me on the back, and Russ looks at me and he goes, "Bro, you could have got a free hat." I was like, "What?" And he said, "When your ears fell off, you should have grabbed your head." I was like, "Man, I probably would have got a free outfit if I'd have done it right?"
Absolutely.
So honestly, I was telling him about this, and I'm embarrassed. I was really embarrassed, because, bro, my ears popped off. It was not what I expected how my day was going to go, right? And I'm telling the story, and Russ looks at me and he said, "Man," "you need to tell that story on stage." He said, "'Cause that's really funny." And he said, "Maybe it'll loosen everybody up and see how it goes." And I was like, "All right, yeah, that's a good idea," And I was trying to think of the best way to tell that story, and that's how I started it. I tell that story on stage. It opens everybody up, loosens everybody up, and we usually have a great presentation. So
yeah. So he told that up in Omaha when we were there. What was that? Was that November? Were we up there? October, November? When was that?
I can't remember. October or November. November. I think it was November.
Yeah. So
it was like right. I had finals like within a couple of weeks. So yeah.
Right. So he tells a story, and honestly, if you could have been just a fly on the wall to see the reaction, you know what I mean? Just to see when his ears popped off and hit the floor. What the hell? That poor girl's probably like, oh,
Yeah.
oh my God. And I know it's funny, but it's not funny, but it's hilarious.
It's funny. It is funny. Even when it happened, I was thinking that did not just happen. And I think that's it. Because usually I'm pretty witty about things. It's just, it is what it is. You have to be witty with some of these veterans, man, because, well, they got jokes, man. These guys got jokes, bro.
Oh, I know.
You're thin skinned.
And that's what I love about the events I get to do with you guys. And it is, to me, I'm honored every time I'm around you guys. I'm honored to be a part of Helping a Hero. I think it's a great thing that what Meredith and them do. I want to try to make it better. I want to try to make so these houses that they build for these guys are beautiful. Oh my gosh, they're beautiful. And they get to have a hand in so many things about the house and how they're built, especially for the amputees. Make sure the cabinets are low, the countertops are low, so they can get everything if they're in a wheelchair. If they're, you know what I mean, and the cabinets and the bathrooms are accessible, bedrooms are everything's accessible for them.
So some of those amputees, and dude, this is one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about what we do at Helping Heroes, because some of the amputees, a lot of people don't realize, that they have adaptive grants and stuff like that, but some of these guys, they still don't have a lot of means. They can't buy the things that they need. And some of them are young guys too. You got to think, you didn't have money when you were young. I know I didn't,
Right.
Well, I was, sometimes paycheck to paycheck, and then even with the grants, you're getting the minimum. So when these houses, when they're built, some of the amputees are having to take showers and shower on their stubs, because their equipment won't fit in there. This is it just blows my mind. I went to one of my buddy's houses not too long ago, and anyway, his shower was literally big enough for his chair. And my shoulders were touching in his shower.
Right.
And I was there kind of doing a discovery to, see how he lived. And I was amazed. I was blown away. And, and they do this, they live it. They, that's their life and they're okay.
Yeah.
In their mind, it's kind of like me with my mobile home. I worked really hard. I bought me a nice mobile home. It was out in the country because I'm a country boy. And, all of a sudden my AC can't keep up with my needs.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that happens. But you know what? I made it do. It's not like I whined about it. It was just a situation.
One thing.
Life's transforming. Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
No. And you're 100% right. And you said it. You said it 1,000 times. I've heard you say it. When Helping a Hero goes to these guys and these women, Susan, a great lady, awesome to be around. Again, when they give these homes and they say, hey, we're going to get you home. Here's a key to your new house. Every one of them, I know you did it. JP did it. All of them. They're like, I'm okay. You know what? But this guy, you need to go. This guy needs it. This guy needs it. I'm fine. I'm okay. Go get that one. He really needs it. Every one of them. It's crazy how selfless they are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I know, just talking to they're all like, we would re-enlist today. Knowing what would happen again, we wouldn't change it. We would do it again. And they would do it now if they could. Even with missing an arm or a leg or whatever. Ben up in Nebraska, good dude, man. And he said they might have to take, he amputated one leg and he's having trouble with his other leg. So he's thinking they're going to have to take that one too. So he could be a double amputee, but he's getting a house. You know what I mean? And I think the provisions for his house are, if he would, you know what I mean? I think they're already thinking ahead, because they might have to take his other leg. So they're going to make sure the countertops, they're going to make sure cabinets and everything and he can roll if he needs a chair to be in the shower or whatever. Everything will be there. If he needs that, it's already going to be done. So, but like I said, every one of you've all said, I don't need it. Give it to somebody else. I'm okay. Everyone said they would re-enlist and do it again. And that's what's for me. I'm like, God damn, I cannot, I can't fathom the thought of losing my leg or an arm or whatever. I couldn't see myself. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And I know they probably couldn't, and not that they would sit around going, man, I wonder what I'd look like with no legs. You know what I mean? And how my life would be. But knowing them and seeing how great they do in their situation, I mean, I don't know if I'm mentally capable, I mean, honestly, I'm just, that's just real talk. I don't know. I don't know that I'm mentally capable.
That's actually a good conversation too, right there. You're talking about, honestly, when I went to Iraq, well, when I knew that I was going to go to combat in general, I believe, this is my opinion, and it seems to be true based on the conversations that I've had with other veterans, especially wounded veterans. If we imagine coming home not on our 2 feet, it would be in a box. That's what you imagine when you go to combat. It's either you come back unscathed or you come back in a box. There wasn't no gray area for me in my mind.
Right.
To come back like this, I think this is where a lot of people have a hard time jumping over that hurdle. They're still hung up on who they were. That life that they had before, being an able-bodied soldier in uniform, in combat, rough, tough, rusting bad guys kind of thing, Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you wake up in the hospital and it's like, well, what the hell am I going to do now?
Right.
I'm missing my legs. I'm missing an arm. I'm missing this. What now? And I think that's where that big shock is until something like this house, we're going to build you a house. And you said it right a minute ago, Tate. That's something that I really find wonderful. Another really wonderful attribute about Helping Heroes, it's a family.
Oh yeah.
You know, as dysfunctional as many families are, there is that component. But
hey, listen,
we're a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not a lot of secrets in our family, you know.
Right. I agree. And you know, like I said, I know in my heart of hearts that, you know, I want to continue to do whatever I can do on my side, and to help all, you know, in anything, and whether it's Helping a Hero or other organizations like that. You know, it's not about just gifting a house. It's not about just doing that. Like you said, it's about this connection and these networks of people that you meet and everything that goes along with it. There's so many opportunities to do things and to get out. One of the opportunities we were talking, and I know there's an outdoors thing with Helping a Hero, and I'm getting with them to kind of see what their mission is on the big end, in the big scheme of outdoor world stuff. But I told Meredith I want to help run it. I want to help be a big part of that, just because of the hunting and fishing that we do, and just here in Missouri. I mean, you know, I know you're going to come out with this year with us and deer hunt. We're going to get you on a big old Missouri whitetail this year. I'm going to film it. We're going to have a film crew. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be in deer camp with us, and you know, it's about that fellowship. It's about the food and the stories and just being a guy. You know, it's just kind of a normalcy kind of thing. Plus just enjoying the outdoor world and being in a deer stand, being in a ground blind or a box blind of some kind, you know, doing what we love to do, you know? And so I'm really excited about that. We're going to the ATA show, here next week. Actually, I leave next week to go to the ATAs. And you know, that's what we're doing there. I'm going to network and get these people involved in the Helping a Hero Outdoors thing, and trying to get that jump started as best we can, so we can do the bigger hunts, not just the deer and turkey hunts here in Missouri, but we're going to go elk hunting. We're going to go, you know, bass fishing, and I'm coming to Texas. I come to Texas every year in March, so you know, you'll have to come up to Lake Fork and do some bass fishing with me. Huh?
Man, if I can help you out, promote that, I'd love to. I'll help you out any way I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to have you come up, and we'll do some bass fishing at Lake Fork and catch some giants. And actually, we have probably over 1,200 acres that we're going to be able to hunt. You know, and we're gonna see some bigots. You know, we're gonna see some big old Missouri giants and have the opportunity to kill them. You know, we're gonna get you on them, just like turkey hunting. You know, we're going to get some big old eastern birds up here, and we're going to go chase them. And for the ones who can and want to, you know, that's kind of my goal with this whole outdoors thing, the Helping a Hero thing that I'm trying to get going. And there's also so many things that, you know, I want to do to help. And like I said, I'm trying to do my little part that I can musically with Ordinary Angels, and we give the Ordinary Angel Award and things like that, which is cool. You know, it's really cool. And
I can't remember, where did the Ordinary Angels start? I can't remember that start. I know I've been around it. I remember a little bit about the program, but do you remember what that was?
So 5-6 years ago, however long it was, almost 6 now, I met Meredith for the first time at that first event through a mutual friend. I have a song on my first album called Ordinary Angels, and she fell in love with the song. Yeah. So she fell in love with the song and said, you know, she's like, it's my favorite song. We need to do something with this song, and can we use it in the Helping a Hero thing? And I'm like, absolutely, you know. So her and I were talking. I was actually talking about a TV show doing a Ordinary Angel TV show. And which still might happen. I don't know. There's so many things up in the air, but and I kind of told her the gist of what it is. It could be anybody. It could be a school teacher that stays after to read to kids. It could be a high school kid. It could be, it doesn't have to be a veteran. It doesn't have to be somebody who donates millions and millions of dollars to something. It can be the ordinary person that you see every day, and you don't know that mom stays after to pick her kids up, and she takes 5 other kids that aren't hers home because they don't have a ride and their parents don't have a car. You know what I mean? It could be anything like that. So that's where it started. And Meredith said, I have so many of those people that are part of Helping a Hero that donate time and they do certain things. And so she made the award, and I come sing the song. We give the award. And it's really cool. It's really cool for me. It's humbling for me. And anyway, so like I said, with that, I'm going to continue doing that until they tell me, hey, kick rocks, dude. We don't need that anymore. So
let me tell you something. You were talking about that, and now that I knew that tape, and I'm so sorry, I forgot about that. And that's why I say sometimes I get like one project mixed up with the other, but I knew it was significant because as soon as you said that, I was like, I think I need to ask him about that.
Yeah, no.
And so now that must have been the connection. But I can tell you, an ordinary angel, I would have to say my mom, because bro, she has been there every step of the way. She used to come in the mornings and have to hand feed me because I couldn't use my hands.
Right.
The only thing that she could touch was my feet, because that was the only thing that didn't have bandages on them. And she could only touch my feet for like months.
Yeah.
And she'd come every morning, feed me, rub my feet, and talk to me. And she is an angel. And actually, I built her an apartment on our property here because my stepdad got sick. He ended up having cancer, and he passed away a couple of years ago.
Uh-huh.
And so we need to move her close, to help, with anything that we could while she was going through that. And anyway, bro, she does so much still. She comes in and she'll just clean the house, and she's always doing stuff for us. And we're like, Mom, you don't work here. And she's like, oh, I just want to keep helping you guys. I love being here with you kids and stuff. Oh my gosh, she always takes such good care of us. So
awesome.
If anybody deserves an ordinary angel, I'd say it's my mama, folks. Show. We call her Mother Teresa.
That's good, man. Oh, I see, exactly, and that's what this award has been. That's what it's kind of designed for, and that's the intent of the award. So, you said, excuse me, you said, how much of your body was burned?
38%.
38% of your body.
Mostly upper torso. My body is now about 85% scar tissue because
of all the grafting.
Because where they do the donor sites, where they take good skin, and then they put it over areas like this that wouldn't normally regenerate skin. And that's why my skin looks kind of weird. And it has this pattern that looks like expanded metal.
Uh-huh.
And so what they do is they'll take a piece of skin like this, and then they run it through a machine that pokes holes in it. So that way it's like, it makes it bigger. But still, they took about, the rest of the skin. So about 85% scar tissue. Dude, I still look good in a bathing suit, though. I'm going to tell you. Like a paparazzi every time I take my shirt off.
Well, and like I said, that I was wondering, so originally 38% was burned, and then after all the grafting and things that they had to do to patch you up, basically, so 80, you're over. Golly, man. Damn it. See, you think about that. Mm-hmm. 80% of your body.
Yeah.
Well, you like from the knee, you're good from the knees down. You know what I mean? Basically.
Yeah. So they took my whole back, and then they took like a piece of my chest and then my stomach. And it's weird too, because they just like peel it like an onion. And somebody's like, they're like, what hurt worse, the burns or the graft? And I'm like, definitely the graft, because I was waiting for all of that, or at least a lot of it, I should say. Ooh. And bro, it was so painful. So I know this is kind of dark, but we're joking, but it's still kind of crazy. But dude, I remember one time it literally felt like they were skinning me alive, because I was stuck to the sheet, and they had to tear it off of me because my back, is like a big blister, man. I mean, it was so incredible, man. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. And so sometimes when people say, "Oh, you're a hero" or "You're a badass," well, you said that earlier. I used to discourage people from saying hero because you're right. It comes with, it's a tough title, especially for, those of us that have lost friends in combat, because to us, those are the heroes.
Absolutely.
The guys didn't, and so when somebody says, "Oh man, you're a hero," it's like, I don't discourage it because there might be a veteran that really needs to hear that. They might really need to believe that they did something good for whatever reason. And so I don't discourage it. But, I do take the term badass. So people are like, "You're a badass." I'm like, "Oh, I know." Dude, I have experienced stuff. It was so unbelievable. It would make toenails curl.
Yeah. Well,
I am a badass.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that's it, Shilo. That's what we should go with. Just you guys are just badasses,
Well,
and I know you guys do so much. Like I said, I was looking through all the non-for-profit things that you do, not just helping a hero, but all of them. And it's awesome, dude. It is awesome that you do it and you give your time. And I think, like I said, maybe your journey through hell, maybe that's what it was for. Yeah. To come out on this side and just be able to tell your story, help those people who need it, and save thousands of lives. Because we all know how many wounded veterans there are out there. Thousands.
Well, earlier when I said that I have a humble heart behind this, and I'm so grateful when I meet people, that's because you're right, man. I know that the things that I experienced, I know that it was to make me a better person. And I don't want to waste that. So, I know that the military is not for everybody, that's for sure. But you know what? For those of us that did thrive in it, we did well, and I have no regrets about anything. I'm so grateful for being on the show. I'm grateful for the message that we were able to share tonight.
Yep.
I do want to say something though about the VA though. And you're right. There's still a lot of broken pieces there. I know that they've done a lot of good work at the VA.
Yeah.
They have
100%.
doctors, but the VA is just like franchises in a way. Sometimes you have good ones and sometimes you have bad ones.
Absolutely.
Bad management for whatever reason, or maybe that team just doesn't click. But this is my advice for veterans that are going to the VA: is if you don't think you're getting what you need, be the squeaky wheel, because the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and that's the truth. I've been successful at the VA. I'm not saying that it would happen the first time that I was successful every time. Sometimes I'd have to bark.
Right.
Sometimes I'd have to be like, "No, this is unacceptable." You have to be your own advocate. You have to tell them exactly what you need. And my dad, he was so horrible about it. He'd think he's on his deathbed. And I'd be like, "Well, what did your doctor say?" "Well, I didn't tell him." I'm like, "Well, why didn't you tell them?" "Well, they should know. They should just know how to fix me. They've been doing this long enough." And I'm like, "Well, that's probably part of the problem, Dad, is they probably don't know how to read your damn mind."
Yeah, they're not mind readers. Yeah, they're not mind readers.
You have to tell them.
No, 100%. And I'm not, like I said, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to say that all VAs are terrible or anything like that. But I know in the past, from just my dad's experience, you know what I mean? The treatment that he's gotten in the past, it's like, that's not good, and it shouldn't be that way, And it's gotten better. He's gotten better doctors in the last few years. So they're making those moves to make it what it should be. But unfortunately, it hasn't always been that way. And
my view of the VA is, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. And all I want to do is clarify, because believe it or not, the VA, when I say, the reason I advocate for the VA is because in a whole, they kind of have this bad persona, like the VA bad, because there have been so many failings.
Right.
But there's a lot of good people that work there.
Sure.
And a lot of them are veterans. There's a lot of veterans that work there, but unfortunately, some of that change takes years because of the bureaucracy, the political point of it. But here's something that I try to think about when I think about the VA is we're one of the only countries, not the only country, but one of, a handful of countries that actually take care of their soldiers.
Right.
A lot of militaries are volunteer, they might get paid, but if you get hurt, bro, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ukraine. I went to Ukraine a few years ago because they released the book over there. They didn't have an infrastructure to take care of the veterans the way that we do. Not the quality that we have, although we still feel like our quality's, a little diminished and it should be better. There's always room for improvement. We're still really blessed. So, not just to defend a bad system, but they are trying. And, I'm fortunate that it's in place for me. But I know that there's just, like you said, a lot of broken components. The last thing I want to talk to you here, Tate, is, and I know, like you said, we're trying to wrap this up. But there is one thing I wanted to tell you is, something that I do, and a lot of other veterans do too. We lean on each other. It's a community. Mm-hmm. It's a family. And I think that all of these nonprofits, like Helping a Hero, and one of the reasons that I advocate for multiple organizations is because it does take a community.
It does.
We can't let veterans, fall through the cracks. It's not just the veterans that we're failing. We're failing their families, their children, their wives, their ex-wives, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Their surviving family members. So, it's our community for the patriots and for the veterans, and it is our opportunity. It should be our opportunity to make sure that we're helping each other be successful every day of our life. All of us.
Yep.
That's just the way we should do it as Americans. We are a family. We're American, regardless of color, creed, regardless of any of that.
I got you.
We're American. We're under one flag.
100%.
So I probably act like it. Start treating each other with.
I say at every show I do a little salute to the veterans and the first responders and stuff like that. And every show I say the same thing or almost the same thing because it's the truth and it's I've never seen our country more divided right now than it is. I've never seen more people dislike somebody because they're a Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, whatever it is, not just political. I mean, even cultural views on things. And it's like, when did it start? When did that big divide saying, okay, you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican. I can't see the way you see things, so we can't be friends. Or you're this and I'm that, and I can't see your way and you can't see mine, so we can't be friends. And you have to see my way, and I don't, you know what I mean? Because my way is the best way, whatever. We've never been more divided. And it's so sad when you see it. And it's everywhere. Every news, everything. It's all about this or that. You're wrong if you believe this way. You're wrong if you believe that way. And to me, I don't care if you're black, white, green, gray. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It means I don't care if you're gay, straight. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care. That has no effect on me personally. But you know what? I don't need you to push your view on me. I'm not going to push my view on you. And the good thing about our country that we've kind of forgotten, it's okay for you to be a Democrat and you to be a Republican and you to be black and you to be white and you to be green and you to be gray. It's okay. That's the country we live in. We have those rights. We have the right to do, you know what I mean? We have the right, the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, the freedom of this. We have all these freedoms that no other countries really have, because of the men and women who served this country to keep those rights going and fight those fights. So no one can infringe on me. No other country can come in and put its paws on me and say, hey, you can't say that. No, yes, I can, because we live here. And when did we stop lifting each other up? When did we stop lifting our neighbor and helping our neighbor? When did all that stop? Because we haven't been doing it for a few years now. Because you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, or I'm black and you're gray. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. And I say it every show. We need to get back to being Americans. We need to get back to loving one another, helping one another, raising each other up. You know what I mean? And get back to, and I'm not, not trying to pimp any political view, but we need to be back to being America, to being the best at everything, to being the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. You know what I mean? We need to be back. We need to get there. How do we do it? I don't know. I'm not a politician. I don't, but you know what I'm saying? It sucks. It sucks because I see it all the time. Everywhere in this country, it's the same. But like you said, the community of which these non-for-profits, the Helping Heroes and all the rest of them, it is a community, and it does take everybody to lift up the ones who need it. And it's okay. And it's okay to lift them up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so anyway, dude, look, brother, I can't wait to see you again, and hope it's sooner than later. And I appreciate you, and tell your lovely wife I said thanks for letting me have you for a couple hours and talk with us and be a part of our show. This is to me one of the best shows, and I've had a ton of big artists on, country artists and things like that are friends, but to me this is the best show I've had so far. Just visiting with you and you telling your story, and I hope if you're listening to this podcast, go buy Still Will. I know you got a movie coming out, or you're still in the process of trying to make the movie. I know I'm in the movie. There's a big part for me in that movie somewhere doing something. so anyway, with that, man, dude, I appreciate you. I love you. And like I said, I can't wait to see you.
Absolutely, brother. Man, I love you guys too. And again, thank you so very much.
Yep.
And let's get back to being Americans, love one another. And I have a rule: if you're here for breakfast, then and you're willing to, while we have breakfast. So I have a very diverse family. We've got people all walks come in and out of our door. But there is a rule that if you're willing to wade in it, then you're willing to hear everybody's opinion. And it's you have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not welcome at the table.
Hey, man.
And that goes for anybody. You got to be, if you're willing to wade into it, if you're willing to make that step to it, you feel so proud about it or so passionate about it that you got to bring it up at dinner, then we're going to talk about it 100%.
And that's not a bad way to be. All right, brother. Have a good evening. And like I said, man, I appreciate you so very much for doing this.
All right, man.
All right, buddy.
Have a good night.
We'll talk soon. Thank you, sir. All right. That is
nice, AJ. Look forward to seeing you in the future.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Good night.
See you guys later.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right. There he is, Shilo Harris, man. He is what he is, and he's as good as they come, and it's awesome. I'm glad we got to talk to him. I'm glad you got to hear a little bit of the story. Go check out the book, Still Will, ebooks. I'm sure, and go just check him out, dude. He's cool. He's a good dude, and what he does, now that he can't fight on the battlefield, what he does, the battlefield at home that he has, and that they're doing for the veterans, and the talking. He does motivational speaking. He does all kinds of cool things, and it's all good, man. And you just got to lift guys like that. You just got to lift them up. And what's that? What'd he say? What'd you say?
I said, she's still listening.
Oh. Oh, I thought we already hit the button and turned you off.
Oh, there he goes.
No, there he goes. There he goes. It's funny. No, he is a good, like, literally, he's a good dude. And that about does it for us.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, guys, listen, thank you for listening to this week's podcast. And I don't know. It was a good one. So I don't know what we're going to talk about next week.
We'll think of something, I guess.
Won't be as cool as that. But anyway, all right. Thanks for listening. And as always, man, make sure you follow us on all the socials and tell your friends. Tell all your friends. Share. Make sure you leave us a comment so we can see what's up, what you guys think, and give us a 5-star rating. All right. That's it. We out. We done. See ya.
Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Want to ask a question for a future episode? Well, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter with hashtag SweetLifePodcast. And be sure to give us a 5-star rating and hit that subscribe button. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to stay up to date on the latest news and information for the Sweet Life Podcast. And we'll see you next time.